Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest episode of the Junior All-Star Championship Series. I got with me the Class 3A champ, Totino-Grace. Welcome, welcome. We'll start with the coaches, and then we'll go to the players. Introduce yourselves.
I'm Mary Dengerud, the head coach.
I'm Leah Dengerud.
Ryan Ferkinhoff, assistant coach.
Weierke, the freshman coach, and then I help with varsity as well.
And then the players we got.
I'm Caroline Schlaefer.
I'm Chloe Nuss.
I'm Ava Riegel.
Welcome, welcome. Well, first and foremost, I want to say congratulations on a great season and a great state tournament run. Coach, we'll start with you. I usually start at the beginning of the season. Was the state title something that when you first started for this season, was this something you thought this was possible? Did it kind of mature throughout the season? Or the kind of, we had no idea where it was going, but it was going to be a fun ride no matter where we ended?
I think we decided that it was going to be a fun ride no matter where we ended. Last year, our season was cut short due to COVID. We were just about ready to play in the section tournament, and then we found out we had a case, and we were going to be cleared then the day before or the day after we would have played. So we were really disappointed and wanted to continue our season. When I talked to my coaches, I said, we have two returning varsity players. This is going to be a puzzle. It's going to be a time of testing, and we'll see what they have. But then they played in the summer league at Concordia, and we started to see some really good things. So we were pretty excited about what we had and the cohesiveness of the group, and then bringing in younger players really affected us along the season. So,
Leah, from the players' perspective, what was the excitement at the beginning of the season, kind of determination, kind of, a bad taste of how the previous season ended type situation? Kind of go through those emotions from the players.
Yeah, at the start of the season, I was super excited, especially what happened to us last season. And just being a captain this year and also having to take that leadership role, I was excited to, be in that spot and then be like a role model for the younger players and to teach them along the way and ultimately have fun and make this an enjoyable experience for them.
Caroline, from the other players aspect, having Leah as one of the veterans, kind of having her as that leadership, how would you say how she helped in that role? Kind of describe having her as a teammate and that veteran leader on the team.
Well, ever since my freshman year, I actually had known Leah, and so just having her on the team and her being taking a leadership role this year, I feel really connected us, and I feel that's how we got so far, because we all became so connected to each other through her and Hannah, the other captain's leadership.
Chloe, we'll have you describe Coach to someone that hasn't met Coach yet. What is she like? Kind of her, her coachism. What does she say? Her non-negotiable stuff like that.
I'd say she has boundaries, and she has high expectations for everybody. So she expects the best out of everybody, but at the same time, she's super nice and fun to be around. But yeah, she wants you to. She has bars for you, and she wants you to reach those.
Coach, kind of in your own words, what are your non-negotiables for your program? Kind of what are the standards and pillars that you want, your program built on?
I guess one of the things that we talk about, no matter who we're playing, is just a amount of respect, respect for each other, respect for the other teams, respect for wearing the uniform, and the things that we do day by day. I believe that this year's group, I really haven't had problems with that ever, but this group was just really so respectful of each other. And other teammates. I told the girls, I don't think I've ever had as many comments from referees and opposing coaches, just how nice my girls were and how well they played and how well they would just come out and play a game. I think even after the state tournament was over, I think if we would have had another week of practice and playing, I think they still would have went. It was just one of those things that all they did was enjoy playing ball with each other.
Ava, from the players aspect, what does it mean to put on the Totino-Grace jersey? What, kind of what does that represent to you?
It's a really great honor. It's a great place, great school, great people, and it's just really fun to be able to play for that school and represent like who they are and who you are.
Like it. So we'll get into the season. We'll start with the players. Was there a turning point game, a game where you kind of felt like once we got to that game, things clicked? We were going, we were pretty strong, everything was kind of going right. Was there a game like that this year? We'll start with Leah.
I think what was that first game after that losing streak we had?
After the losing streak we had, Armstrong.
Yeah, we had a losing streak for a couple games, and we weren't just playing how we played. And I think it was a home game versus Armstrong, and I feel like that game was really where we saw our team come together and knew that everyone played a key role, and as a team we could play our best and keep going from there.
Let's the assistant coaches, let them get in here. What did you see from the start of the season to, right before section throughout the season? Where did you see the most growth from the team, either on the court, off the court, both?
I can speak on behalf of one of the games we saw. I think Hill Murray, the first time we played him at our place, it was right before Christmas break. That was a really big time for us. I think we grew together, just knew our talent and showcased our ability that we had. I think as a group, we knew what we had. We just needed to show kind of the community and the people of 3A basketball what we were all about. So that was a fun game for us. And then that really led into our Christmas tournament, which off the court, we grew a lot. Even though we did lose one game and then won the second, I think we came together as a group. I think it was big for the run down the stretch.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what Coach Ferkinhoff said, but I know from my aspect, I can see the growth and just like the teamwork over this season. It really started to include all of the girls scoring. I know like in our state championship game, we had more than just two people scoring. We didn't have more than just one person scoring. We had a full group. The score sheets were full. And so it's fun to see that teamwork, and transition was including all of the girls. And so it was really fun to kind of see that teamwork. And then by that state championship game, I think everyone could kind of tell that it just kind of clicked for us, and that teamwork was really, really fun to watch and coach.
And then coach, we get to the sections and state tournament. I'm always curious to ask a coach, is your mentality kind of, we just focus on the next game, sections, regular season, postseason, whatever it is, it's the next game's the most important game? Or do we kind of talk about the fact that it's a bigger game, more on the line, and kind of let those emotions ride out and kind of use those emotions and motivation, or kind of a mixture? Where do you fall on that?
No, I'm pretty much the next game. I know as coaches, I mean, behind the scenes, we were already, prior to playoffs, looking at other teams. Coach Ferkinhoff, Coach Weierke, Coach Dengerud, Coach Severance, we all would look at different films of different teams. Who is it that we're going to have to compete against? We knew that Austin was always in the top, and so we would watch Austin. I also had another coach of mine, Ned Thompson, and he was looking at Becker, and he was looking at Wilmer, and he was looking at Alexandria. So we knew there were top teams out there, and we just wanted to make sure that we were prepared. And so then at the starts, unfortunately, our section games, the first one didn't turn out the way we wanted. We didn't have a gym. And so we had to go looking for a gym, looking for places to practice. It was just kind of a little bit of nerve-wracking. Fortunately, a lot of our, especially our coach Ferkinhoff, knew people. And so that helped. But we just took every game as it was and just planned to enjoy it. We had a theme this year that we called Path to Purpose. And we just took one game at a time. I tried to focus only on the girls, on definitely who we were seeing that next time, and prepared them that way.
Chloe, from the player's perspective, what was, how does that help stay kind of motivated, prepared, knowing We're just looking at who's in front of us. We focus on this game, this quarter, this play, and we're not looking too far ahead. We're not looking at what's happening in the future. We're looking at what's in front of us.
It helps a lot because it calms the nerves, and I would say like when you're in like the present and you're not thinking about the past, you're the most dialed in. You can be the most focused, because once you get too carried away looking to like who we play next or whatever, that's when you don't realize who you're playing, the game you're at. And so you get lost, and that's how you lose, and you just don't perform well. So you gotta like stay focused on who you got, and it's almost like calming to know like everyone's focused, we're all dialed in.
Caroline, so then you make state. What is that? What are those emotions like? What are the excitement, nerves, kind of just starting state? What's that like from the player's perspective?
Well, right after we won the section championship, for a while, it was kind of just like, is this even real? Like, I feel like all of us were just really just overjoyed. And just going into the state tournament, I feel like we were all so excited to be there, but also we all had something in our mind that was like, we can do this. Like, this is not something that's like out of our reach, and it's in our reach. And I feel like we worked together well and all brought it to the plate.
Leah, we'll ask you. So you're at state, and I feel, looking back, hindsight 2020, I feel like Totino-Grace was overlooked. You were the three seed, right? Yeah. And then, you have the predominant power in Becker, who kind of seems to always be there. I felt like Olivia Olson's first time there kind of got a little bit of shine there. Austin kind of in and out of number one. You had Coma Park, but there wasn't much talk about that. Did you guys feel kind of undervalued or kind of unappreciated or kind of just that underdog going into 3A? Or were you kind of like, we don't care what the noise is outside of here?
Honestly, we didn't really care. We just were excited to go to state in the first place. And knowing that not many people knew about us or what we were like was actually, it was easier to go in, not like having that pressure that those number one seed teams would have. So I feel like that also helped us with the nerve aspect, that we had nothing to lose in those games, and ultimately we won. So yeah.
So I always ask, the players didn't have all that, they have their own kind of nerve, but they can kind of play it out. To the assistant coaches and head coach, what's that like preparing for state? Is that nerve wracking? How is that kind of going preparing for state?
Go ahead, guys.
Well, it definitely takes it up a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, we prepare for every game as best as we can, but we were even more dialed in. And we would get home. I mean, especially in state, you're playing 3 games in 4 days. And so, I mean, we get home from a long day of excitement, and then boom, we're watching film, we're scouting, we're taking notes, we're doing everything that we can to prepare for the next day. And everything was just dialed up a notch. And so it's really fun to be involved in that whole planning process. What are we doing on offense? How are we going to play them on defense? And so just everything was a lot more intense, and I thought it was really fun. I had a blast.
I think our preparation was great. I think it was fun to work with the staff as we were going through our run, and just to talk about each opponent and have our girls, and just to know that the talent that we had and to work with that, just amazing. And working with Coach Dengerud throughout the process, she just made it such a team effort at the contribution level from the coach's standpoint. And that just really relayed to our team. And I think our girls bought into that and just knew it was a team effort throughout the entire season. You get to that point, and it's just natural that they're going to do it together as a group, that it's not just one individual, it's an entire group effort.
Coach, what was your feeling like going to state? What does it feel like preparing for state? The excitement, the nerves, kind of everything all in one?
Well, luckily we had spring break that week.
Oh.
So all I had to do was just focus only on basketball. And like Coach Sid said, that, going that fast, at first I felt like it was a blur, because you would just get done with one game and then we knew we had to go prepare for the next one. And it's late nights, it's scratching on paper, it's a lot of coffee, but it was just it was like a dream. You weren't really in the moment because we always had to prepare for the next one. And I said, that's the only hard part, is actually celebrating. Obviously the girls can, and, they can relax after a game. But as coaches, you just can't, because it's our job to prepare them. It's our job to get them ready. And I felt that we all did a good job on that. And really, the girls, I felt, became less nervous as we went. I was prepared to, deal with jitters. And of course, there was always maybe a play at the beginning of the game, but it's just like they just focused in and did. They ran the game plan to perfection. I can't even say enough of what they did through those whole times. And even in the last game with Becker, you were just so focused in on the game and so focused at what we were doing and what it is that they needed from us, that I looked up at the clock and I turned around and I said, I think we're going to win. I mean, you just don't even realize what's happening. But now that it's all over, you can look back and just say, what a ride. What a ride.
To the players, I always ask, we'll start with Ava. What's it like playing on the Williams Arena floor? Is there nerves? Is anyone worried about flying off the end because it's a raised floor or anything? What's that like playing on that floor?
Well, I wasn't actually playing, but just being there was like even nerve-wracking for me, and I wasn't even playing. And it was a little like, I was a little nervous seeing people getting close to the edge, but I was like, you know what, they got it, they're fine. But it was really fun just to be in that environment.
Leah, what's it like playing when up there? Kind of were you any nerves of being up there, or you just kind of were playing, we don't worry about the sideline kind of stuff?
That first game against Como, I was a little nervous, especially because when you get on that court, it just feels so much bigger than you think, bigger and brighter than you think. But once you start playing, all those distractions, those people, those fans just kind of leave your head. And I ultimately our whole team, I felt like we were just locked in, and we just wanted to have fun and enjoy that moment we got on that court.
So Coach, I'll ask about that semifinal game. She's not here, but were you aware of how close and how when she finally hit, Hannah got the triple double? Were you aware she was like that? Was it just kind of like we're just watching the magic happen, and afterwards like, oh, she had a triple double? Kind of, what was that like watching as her coach out there?
No, I really did not realize that till I watched it on TV. But I mean, Hannah is always one of those players that just, she just doesn't naturally. And I don't really think, none of the players would ever, oh, I got 10 points, I got 12 points. I mean, nobody ever really did that. They all just either passed it or scored or did whatever they had to do to get it done. And I think one of Hannah's focus was that she just wanted to win. She wanted to be there. She wanted to win. And it didn't have anything to do with, racking up her points. She just wanted to help her team out as much as she could. And she knew she had to be that leader because her and Leah have played a long time together, and they've played in some pretty amazing AAU courts and against some pretty amazing teams. And I think they just knew they had to be the leaders, and she did. She took off and did what she needed to do. And it was just like the championship game. Nobody knew that out of the 17 points we had at one time that she had 15 of the 17. But it was just one of those things where nobody really realized that, but it was happening.
As a fan, I can vouch for it being in the arena. The scoreboard kept malfunctioning, so we're like, does she have it? Does she not have it? We're like, I think she's close, kind of thing. So we were trying to track stats that way. So we were unofficially, we're like, that's why when I tweeted, I'm like, I think she has it. I was like, I was pretty sure she had it, but then we kept having malfunctions, so that didn't really help us try and keep track of stats. So to the coach and to the assistant, I gotta ask, you might have had the hardest road to get to the state title of having to defeat seed 2 and seed 1 to get to that title game. What's it like preparing for each, kind of back-to-back games, having to prepare for 1 and 2 seeds, the players that are there, very different, I think, styles, kind of more, both are guard oriented, but kind of two different types of teams that can come at you from all over the place.
I think from a preparation standpoint, it started with Detroit Lakes. We were thinking about them. We just haven't seen much from them, and obviously not being in the Metro, that was kind of hard to prepare for them specifically. So that was an initial game we were really nervous for. They had some size that we had some tough mismatches on, and we knew we had to be prepared for that one. Como Park obviously had a ton of talent, ton of speed. They also had some bigs that we were a little nervous about, that was going to give us some tough matchups. But I think we had a good game plan going in, trying to limit their attack. And then obviously some of that carried over to Becker, so that was helpful. Yeah, but man, our girls are awesome. They executed the plan like crazy, and it worked. So,
Coach Fid, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything Ferk said, but I mean, we really just bought in everything that Coach Dengerud, Coach Ferkinhoff, Coach Severance, all of Coach Dengerud, other Dengerud, but all of our coaches kind of preached. The girls bought in really well. And I think the biggest aspect of that was with defense. We were throwing in all of our defenses. I mean, one game we're doing one, and the next game we're doing a different defense. And so the buy-in of the girls was great. I think that's where we really stepped up in our games and our preparation. Defense, I think, was just huge because it shifted each game and our girls adjusted really well.
And I think playing our conference during the year prepared us so well. I mean, I actually said in the championship game, I said, compare this to Rogers without the bigs, because there was so many teams that we saw that just had amazing group of players. Maple Grove, Elk River, Rogers, Armstrong. I mean, you just can't draw up that kind of a practice. And that's basically what it was for us, even though we're taking each game and preparing each game. But you're right. I mean, when we went to DL to Como to Becker, it was a different case. And the girls listened completely. We knew what we had to do with Como. We knew what we had to do with Becker. It was a different feel, but yet, you know, whatever we told them to do, they just did it. And so they give all the credit to the girls. I mean, they did what we asked them to do and never second guessed and never complained.
I like it. Players, whether in the game or on the bench, you know, kind of help cheering them on. To each one of the players, we'll start with Chloe. Was there a moment in that championship game that you thought, we have this? It's ours. We're not going to be denied. We have it. Was it the final buzzer, some point in the game?
Well, I personally I like to always play like it's not over until the clock hits 0. But I think once Hannah started shooting those final free throws, that's when I think everyone kind of just took a deep breath and realized we did that. And then it kind of just, I mean, it didn't set in, but yeah, I think it just happened when Hannah was hitting her final free throws.
Caroline?
I'd have to say kind of around the same time as Chloe, but just when towards the end of the game when Becker started to foul us and we were getting into free throws, and it was a moment when Mrs. D, she told us to back up from the line, all 4 of us, and I looked up and I was like, oh my gosh, there is not that much time left, and we're gonna be shooting free throws. So I feel that was when it was for me that I really was oh, we got this.
Ava, how about you? Was there a moment where you're like, we got this?
I agree completely with Chloe and Caroline. It was those final free throws, and you could see the crowd was kind of starting to get on their feet, and they were starting to cheer, and that was just when I knew.
Leah?
Yeah, well, we all talked about going into that game. I remember Caroline, we said we had a good feeling going into this one, but specifically it was probably, I think our 8-second mark or something. I turned around to my teammate Grace and I looked at her and I just smiled and I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to happen. So yeah, the same time as when Hannah was shooting those free throws, that's when I thought.
Coaches, was it the final buzzer that it did that, or did it sink in a little bit earlier than that the game was that you guys had it? We'll start with the assistant thing, work our way up to head coach. We'll start with Coach Ryan.
I think Coach Dengerud said it well earlier. We didn't, once the buzzer hit, then we realized it. I think it was, we're just so caught up in the emotion of the game and just wanted to execute. I think the girls hit it on the nose that when we were shooting free throws, when we got to clear the lane, I think Grace was big. I think she realized and kind of brought it to her teammates like, hey, we got this. It was just exciting. It's an exciting time for us, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I think for me, I really had that thought of when number 0 fouled out. I was like, oh wow, like they are really fouling, even if it means fouling out. So for me, that was kind of the turning point. I mean, it was right at the end anyway, but then as those free throws went along, I started getting really excited. Me and Coach Sam Dengerud were in the back, and we like wanted to get excited, but we were like, nope, not yet. Like it's not done yet. So we watched those free throws happen. But yeah, for me, like the girls said, those free throws were the big point for us.
Coach D, what same final buzzer, or was it a little bit before did it creep in that you had?
Well, first of all, I thought the game went so fast in itself. I guess the first half was just a blur. And then as the game went on with 6 minutes left, I thought, boy, no, we cannot let up because this team just can score at will. I mean, you can hit, their 3-point shooting is just amazing. And I knew that those players could at any time just take over a game, and especially their defense. Their defense was just awesome too. But I think it was the 24-second mark that I turned around and I said, I think we can breathe. I mean, it was just, it was just all the time. You were just knowing that. And I told the girls, I go, this is going to be a game of runs. I said, we know how to score. They know how to score. Don't get nervous when we go down. You just keep playing the game that you need to play. So
I like it. So players, I won't take all your night. We'll start here. I would like to play the word game. One word to describe the 2021-2022 Totino-Grace girls basketball team. We'll start with Leah.
I'd say extraordinary.
Ava.
Ava.
Unbelievable.
Caroline.
Exciting.
And Chloe.
Amazing.
I'm going to add one. Champion. Champion, come on now. I'd throw that one out there first. So, coaches, I should have we'll let the coaches jump in. Coach Ryan, what's one word to describe this year's team?
Purposeful.
Coach Fidney.
I would say together.
Coach D.
Miracles.
There we go. I like it. Well, I want to say thank you for taking your time. You were an absolute pleasure to watch, both regular season at state. You were a fun team to watch. I enjoyed it. I want to say thank you for taking the time to do this. I really, really appreciate it. Congratulations on a fantastic season. Running it back for back-to-back, right, next year, right, Coach?
Yeah, right, Caroline. She's our next year's captain. So
there we go. Hey, back-to-back. I'll be in the gym watching. So once again,
All
thank
right.
you. Congratulations on a great season.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Yep. Bye-bye.